Hey everyone, Pro Gamer here. Um, Today I'm going to be reviewing a book by Suzanne Collins. Actually, three books. The Hunger Games series. So there's The Hunger Games, Catching Fire, and then Mockingjay. And I read all three of them in about a week, about a year ago. And they're really great books. And the basic premise is that there are 12 little villages that are like vassals to the capital, and they have to send kids to fight in this huge arena. And basically the first book is about fighting in the arena, and this young girl wins. The second book is about fighting in the arena again, and then they break out of the arena. And then the third book is about taking on the capital and gaining freedom for all the little vassal states or whatever, overthrowing like the ruler of the capital. And they're real good. um, you don't notice the writing. I mean, it's just the story, and it was so good that on Thanksgiving I found out that bookstores are all closed on Thanksgiving because I had read the first Hunger Games, and that day that I finished reading it, I went out looking for the next one to buy. And it was, I don't think it was on paperback yet, or maybe it was or not, but either way, I ran around trying to find them, Barnes and Noble, little independent bookstores, and I couldn't get it, so I had to wait the next day, and it was just crazy. So I read all three of them in like the span of a week, and they were pretty good. I mean, there's problems with the story, and then there's problem with the writing. The writing is so good that you don't notice that it's written in present tense. And I like to write myself. I'm not published yet, but hopefully I will be. And I was editing the book that I was writing while I was reading that. I had written one chapter in the span of that week while I was reading those three books, and I went back and I looked at the chapter, and it would be like, oh, Dorian, got up from the ground, walks and opens the door looking out. I'm like, wait a second, that doesn't sound right. Okay, so he opened the door and then looked out, and then he walked out, you know what I mean? So it was like, I was like, okay, so then, he peered through the door and looks and finds a guard and runs over and hits. I'm like, wait a second, something's going on. And then I get told back, okay, so he looked out, he ran to the guard. You know what I mean? So like there's present and then there's past tense. And novels are written in past tense, unless they're horribly bad, written for young people or something crazy. Like the first novel ever to be written in present tense is like from the 50s. So let's be honest here. Novels are written in past tense. They need to be. So I was like, what is going on here? Why am I writing? Like, this is crazy. So then I looked and I grabbed those books. I was like, wait a second. I grabbed them. They're all written in present tense. I had not even realized it. I had read all three novels without even realizing that it was in present tense. Now that is some good writing. So you don't even realize that. So that's the problem with the book, is that you should avoid books that are written in present tense, because if you're a writer, it'll probably mess up your writing. I mean, it filters in. Like, I didn't even realize what I was doing, but I knew right away that there was a problem here. Like, why am I writing like that? Well, it's because I was reading those three books that week and then written that chapter during that week as well. And it was filtering in without me even knowing. So you have to avoid books like that. I mean, it doesn't make sense that the narrator is writing stuff down as they're doing it. Like, she wasn't in the arena with a notebook writing what she was doing as she was like shooting an arrow at someone's head. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't even make sense. Like, logically, present tense doesn't even make sense. It has to be written in past tense for it to make sense as a story, because you're telling it after it happened. Whether you're the character that's in it, written in first person, or if it's in third person, some other person telling the story, always has to be written in past tense to be any kind of novel. Like, that's just crazy. So but the three books were that good. I saw the movie as well. Movie stayed pretty much on top of the book, and that was cool. I mean, it was a high budget movie, and it was a good book, and it's kind of like Twilight. Like, I've never read Twilight, never seen the movies. I'm probably not going to, but it's kind of like that, where it's like the books are popular because they're good books, and then the movie was high budget, good movie, yada yada. So I would definitely pick it up. On a scale of 1 to 10, should you read this book? Well, it gets a little bit iffy. I mean, if you had the choice, if you're a writer, I would suggest not reading this book. I mean, it kind of messed up my writing a little bit. Um, Now I know to avoid books that are written in present tense because it'll just get in and screw you up a little bit. So, I mean, most novels are written in past tense, obviously, so you don't really have to be too careful with that unless you're reading a lot of young adult, because all that stuff seems to be written in this weird way that doesn't make any sense. You know, no one is writing down what they're doing as they're doing it. It doesn't, you know, it has to be written in past tense for it to even make a little bit of sense. But other than that, these novels are really good. I mean, I like the story. You know, it's a little bit redundant in the second book because, you know, it's like the exact same thing as the first book. They, you know, uh-oh, they have to go back now. It's like, all right, okay, whatever. But it's still a good story because halfway through they like break out of it and go to some resistance camp or something. So it's kind of it is good. I would suggest reading it to people who are not writers or trying to improve their writing. I mean, the writing is fantastic, of course, but then again, it's written in present tense, so I don't understand why they would do that. You know, it doesn't make a lot of sense. Like every other book you've ever read is in past tense. So what you know, where are you getting this? Where are you getting this writing from? I don't know. I mean, if you were born 60 years ago, you wouldn't even know what present tense was. You know, so I don't understand why they have to do that with all these books because they are good books. It's just a shame that I try to avoid books written in present tense, but I didn't even realize that this one was because the writing was good, the story was good, and I suggest picking it up. Other than that, you know, I haven't read the other books by her, but I think any books that she writes going forward are going to be really good. You know, she wrote another series about some like underworld, like Gregory in the Underworld or something. I haven't read them. I think there's like 5 books. I'm probably not going to read them, but I might pick up whatever else she ends up writing because you know it is good, obviously, because people like it so much. So that's all I have. Scale of 1 to 10, I'd say a 10. Definitely pick it up if you're a writer. I don't know. Maybe watch the movie instead. Won't mess with your head. All right. See you guys later.